For I say I was hungry, and you did not feed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked, and you didn't clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me. And then you will say, but when were you hungry and thirsty and naked? And Jesus would say, as you done unto the least of these, so have you done unto me. Matthew 25:42. Hello, Instagram, Facebook, Shabukabu Tiffany coming to you. I pray all is well with you. Yes, Jesus says, as you do unto the least one, the poor, the suffering, you are doing it to me. When you turn a blind eye when someone is hungry or suffering and you have the power to help them, God expects us to do it. You know what? Yesterday, I was so excited. You know, we celebrated my mom's 76th birthday, and my mom and dad, they love Sony's barbecue, so I pre-ordered it, and Ray took me to pick up the food. While I was standing there looking out the door, this young man, he built up the courage to open the door, and he was waving his hands towards me, asking me to come here. And when I went to him, he looked at me with tears in his eyes, and he said, ma'am, I'm so very hungry. Can you please buy me something to eat? He was not holding a sign. Matter of fact, he was afraid that he was going to get kicked away from this, this restaurant, because, they don't allow that there. But this man wasn't asking for money. He didn't have a sign. He was just saying, I'm so very hungry. And as I was looking at this man, and I was looking at all of these people coming from church, out of all of those Christians and all of those people who had on their Sunday's best, none of them gave him the time of day. They didn't even give him the common decency to make eye contact with him. They walked past this man as if he did not even exist, because he had dreaded hair, because he was dirty, because he was raggedy. But you better be careful, because this could have been Jesus Christ standing there. This man was looking at me with a desperate eyes and saying, I'm hungry. Can you please buy me something to eat? And I was looking at this young man like saying, this could be my son. This could be Josiah. This could be Emmanuel. How can I just turn away? How can I just walk away? But what got me the most is that all of these people, they were coming from church. They were laughing. They were talking. And this was so common for them to see this kind of stuff that they weren't even moved with compassion. What kind of sermon did you hear? What kind of God do you serve that you see someone down and out like this and you don't even look at them? You're not even moved. My heart was broken and my spirit was grieved to see these Christians, these so-called Christians, so heartless, with no compassion, no concern for those who are hurting, the broken. Jesus went to the hurting, the broken, the lost, the hungry, the sick, and he showed compassion. The Bible says he was moved with compassion. And even when the disciples was like, send them home, let them go home and eat, Jesus said, no, you feed them, you clothe them, you heal them. That is why I am here. That is why I put my spirit in you. So what are you learning if you're going to a church and only have Jesus in a box in a building? Jesus is not supposed to stay in the four walls. He's supposed to be in you, to flow through you with the Holy Spirit. You're supposed to have compassion for the lost. You're supposed to have, fear of God and compassion for those who are broken and hurting. Jesus said, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to preach, to go heal the brokenhearted. Yesterday, my heart was broken to see the state of the church. The saddest thing to see about this story was that the majority of these people were older Christians that's supposed to be seasoned, that's supposed to have the Spirit of God and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. They were the ones that were not showing compassion. But I was able to get this young man some hot food and something to drink, and he was very thankful. And even the employees in the store were saying, when we see him, we'll reach out to him. We won't give him money, but we'll give him food. And I said, thank you very much. So I left there and I was getting in my car, and I noticed that my husband had tears in his eyes. And I said, honey, what's wrong? And he said, you're not going to believe it. He said, did you see this man, this man with dreads in his hair in the store? I said, yes, I just bought him something to eat because he was hungry. He said he needed something to eat because he was very hungry. And my husband began to weep. And I said, honey, what's wrong? He said, I cannot believe I was sitting here watching all of these people walking by this man. He said, I was literally sitting here watching all of these people arrive from church in their, their nice outfits. And he said, not one of these people even looked at this man. And he said, this man was so afraid to go up to them and approach them. But he said, the thing that got me was none of them even looked at him. None of them even gave him the time of day. Exactly what I had saw when I was standing inside of the restaurant looking out the door at him. The same thing my husband had witnessed. He said, how could this be? How could these people just got out of church and they walked right by this man and they saw his state and they were not even moved? And I started weeping too, because God had showed us the same thing and we were in the same spirit. And my husband said, I'm so glad. He said, I was going to call you and tell you to buy him something to eat because I saw him desperate. And I said, no worries. I've already bought him something to eat. You see, we must have compassion for those who are hurting. You see, we must have that same compassion as Jesus had for those who are broken and hurting and hungry and sick. We got to have that same compassion. We cannot just be nice in church and do the church thing. Jesus is more concerned about what you're doing when you're not seen, when you're not in the church, when you're in the streets, when you're in Walmart, when you're in work, when you're at a restaurant. He's more concerned about what you're doing out there amongst the lost. He's more concerned about how we treat people, not what we say, but more what we do, because he wants doers of the words, not just hearers. It's easy to look spiritual in church, but when you walk out of church, who is the real person? Who is this person called me? How do you treat the lost? How do you treat others? How do you treat those who are less fortunate than you? That's what Jesus wants to know. When I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was thirsty, did you give me drink? When I was naked, did you clothe me? When I was sick and in prison, did you visit me? Yes, he's going to ask those questions. And how will you respond? Lastly, I close with this. No, we do not do our alms before men to be seen or praised by men. We do not let our left hand know what our right hand is doing. Everything that we do it in secret so that God can bless it. But I'm doing this video to wake you up, and God will weigh the heart. He will judge the heart, the motives, and the intent. And the intent of this video is not to sing the praises. Oh, look at me, what I've done. The intent is to show you that we must be more mindful. We must be people of compassion, because God is concerned how we treat people. God is not concerned about how many scriptures you can quote, how many times you go to church every week. He's more concerned about how are you treating people? Are you winning the lost? Are you walking in the fruits of the Spirit? So it's not about getting glory and look what we've done, because we've been doing this for years, my husband and I, because we are supposed to do it. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and that God will be glorified. But let's be people of compassion.